All right, so we got to see some Trevor Lawrence, and it was, well, it had its ups and downs, let's say that. Listen, you can't expect these rookie quarterbacks to jump in and immediately be awesome. In fact, we've been a bit spoiled with young quarterbacks jumping into the league and being pretty great. I mean, obviously, last year with both Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, I think about Kyler Murray, who was good, although he definitely had his downsides as well. And, again, you could even talk about guys like Lamar Jackson and Mahomes who sat out for most of their first season, but really, were great when we did see them. It doesn't always work out that way. It just doesn't. Sometimes you are going to have some ebbs and flows, especially with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who he's someone who I called this, before this game. I sort of said, like, he played in a very college-y offense, so I'm not surprised to see him make some of the mistakes he's making. I mean, Clemson's offense was a lot of times throw a screen pass, fake a screen pass, and throw a deep, and then rinse and repeat. That's not what you can get away with in the NFL. And so there were some mistakes that I'm not concerned about. In fact, all of the mistakes I'm not concerned about, and there were some legit good plays. So it wasn't a good performance, but it's not a worrying performance, if that makes sense. Because quarterbacks can have worrying performances. Like, think about Josh Rosen or Dwayne Haskins when they first entered the league. They had worrying performances right off the bat. This wasn't a worrying performance, but it wasn't a good performance. So, all right, let's start off with this one. So what's going to happen here is, I want to talk about some good plays. We'll start off with a positive play. How about that? So it's going to be a cover 3 zone. You have a play action with a receiver running a route that could potentially get open on this play. So the play action could move the corner a little bit further in, which just could allow for it to get open, which is going to happen. Like, look, so Lawrence takes a snap. And one thing I want you to watch is just Lawrence himself. He is going to have to make this throw off balance. That's why I'm pausing it to show that, and also to avoid copyright claims, of course. But watch this off-balance throw, and it's just a great throw down the field. Again, the arm talent is there. There's no denying that. Even if you're the biggest Trevor Lawrence hater, of which I'm not even sure if there are Trevor Lawrence haters, but if you are one of them, you have to admit, okay, yeah, the arm talent is clearly there. The issues were just stuff like this. So this is a great example of sort of kind of the issue he's going to have going into the NFL. And this is something, again, that I brought up in my evaluation is he's someone who feels like he can make every throw. And the reality is sometimes he can make these incredible throws, but you can't throw it through a window that doesn't exist. And this is an example of him trying to do that. It's a cover 2 zone. You have a receiver running a route that on paper could work. And I think that's a big issue that a lot of young guys have going into the NFL is basically in college, every play that works on paper works in real life. In the NFL, like half of them do. So it just becomes a much more difficult task. And watch how so Lawrence takes the snap, and he is going to eventually look over there, and he just never even checks Vernon Hargreaves, the corner, all the way towards the bottom of the screen. He never even looks at that. You can tell because he looked towards his right, then looks towards his left, and immediately starts making the throw. He sees that, okay, this is the route that should work. He probably saw the safety who was further deep and said, okay, I can make this throw. But you have to check out the corner as well because, if he looks over there and realizes that Hargreaves is going deep, well, then you can just dump it off and you'll get some yards that way. There is a check down there, but, it's just the NFL moves very fast. You have to start making these reads a little bit quicker and just knowing what to look for. As you see, he fires the shot anyways, and it's intercepted. I mean, listen, that was just, it was a bad decision, but it's an understandable bad decision. In fact, it's kind of one of those that it's like, okay, sure, get that out of your system now. Make those mistakes now, so that way, hopefully in next year or in a couple of years, when the Jaguars are a potential playoff team, then you won't have those mistakes and you'll learn from that. So that's what you hope for out of a rookie quarterback. Although later on, we would see something like this, and this is kind of why this is a good example of why he still takes some chances. It's 3rd and 7. You see the route against this coverage. It could work. It's kind of in a gap in coverage. Watch what happens. So Lawrence takes a snap. He is going to fire this one. And I mean, look, there's 2 defenders right in that area. This is tight coverage to say the least. Both of these defenders are laying out for the ball right here. This is going to have to be, one of those mailbox throws. And look at the accuracy. It was perfect. It was a great, incredibly accurate throw by Trevor Lawrence. So give him some credit. He made the great athletic throw. but it is a bit, I saw some people saying, oh, maybe he's got a little bit of Jameis Winston in him, and I can see that comparison. Not to say that he'll throw 30 interceptions, but that there is a bit of, I'm going to take every chance, I'm going to make every throw. I think the difference is Lawrence is just a lot more accurate than Winston, so he can actually make some of these throws that Winston wouldn't be able to make, but there still is that underlying, some of these throws you just should never make regardless. And then there's some stuff like this, for example. It's a cover 2 zone. You have a receiver who's running a route that's going to get into a gap in coverage right over there, so that's something that Lawrence will eventually look towards, and he's going to look towards it pretty early. However, watch how long it takes him to actually make this throw. Takes him a bit, right? He took a little bit longer, kind of threw off his back foot, and at this point, there's now time for Texans defenders to get into the area. That's just one of those things where it's like, it's a half second, but Derek Carr makes that throw a little bit earlier, right? Some of these good quarterbacks, forget the elite ones, like Ryan Tannehill makes that throw earlier. You just it's something to get used to in the NFL of making it a little bit earlier. Now, there's still an opening. However, Lawrence's throw is a bit high, and while I did praise his accuracy a little bit earlier, it's worth mentioning he missed a couple throws in this performance as well. He absolutely did. There's no getting around that. But to me, the window would have been a lot bigger had he just made that throw a little bit earlier, so I'm more concerned about that. But again, back to some positives. I started with a positive play. I'll end with a positive play. And the real thing I think I should say is that this was a very up and down performance. There was some real lows, but there was some legit awesome highs. Part of me wonders if that was just the Texans defense, but still, it's, cover 2 zone on this play. You have 2 receivers on the offense's left. One is just running a go route, the number 1 guy, so the guy closest to the sideline, he's running a go route. The other receiver is going to run a little bit over the middle, and the safety is actually going to follow the number 2 receiver, meaning the go route towards the sideline is the one that's going to be open. However, worth mentioning, Lawrence is taking the snap on the hash marks all the way on the other side of the field, so it's going to be a tough throw. However, watch how Lawrence, runs the play action, steps up in the pocket, which is good, and then just fires off his cannon of an arm. I mean, there's something that appears to be wide open, but it's worth mentioning, you have to get it there quickly, because again, it's not Lawrence's fault. Lawrence actually threw this one as early as he really could have, but he has to get the ball there quickly just with his arm strength, and this is where that arm talent comes into play of other guys who don't have the arm talent, can't get it there as quickly. And watch, that's just a thing of beauty, and they're able to get the touchdown right there. That's just a beautiful throw, and he definitely made a handful of throws that it's like, okay, that's why he was the first overall pick, right? I remember now. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, as a whole, I thought Lawrence was, again, he had ups and downs. Again, when I say it was a bad performance, I literally just mean compared to the rest of the league. If he showed a lot of promise, but then threw 3 interceptions, that's a bad performance in terms of a single football game. Might not be a bad performance in terms of how I feel about him going forward, because all of the mistakes were mistakes I expect from him. So that's what I think about Lawrence. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think there were some concerning mistakes? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.